Welcome to our Module 2 e-lesson on writing SMART goals. We're going to review through the goals and objectives for the module. So first, we're going to be able to identify a specific area of growth in the digital competencies. So keep that in mind. This e-lesson isn't necessarily going to cover the specific areas of growth that you identified, but we are going to focus on this next part on creating a SMART goal based on the area of growth. So that's really what we're going to look at, is this whole process of going about and creating a SMART goal. We're going to be going through the specific components that make up a SMART goal. Some of you have received training in SMART goal writing, and other people, this is the first time it's actually been explained to you. I'm sure you've heard the term thrown around because it's been a buzzword in education for probably about the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm going to go through each individual component and then go into a little bit greater detail as far as how it's going to affect you and how you're going to be able to use this. So the first thing is specific. That's what our S stands for. We need to make sure we're focusing on things that are specific in nature and not just a broad topic. Like technology is a broad topic. We have to dive a little bit deeper and find one thing that's specific about it. And then we have to make it measurable. At the end of the day, we've got to be able to prove whether we met our goal or not. That's where that measurable aspect comes from. And then we have achievable. Now, you'll see the A stand for different things because I've seen attainable and achievable. But for achievable, it's got to be something that's realistic for you. The picture does this justice because Mount Everest, well, if I set out my goal to be the Mount Everest of technology goals, I might not be able to accomplish it. It may not be achievable for where I am now. It's got to be relevant, something that means something to you, not just something for an administrator or for me. The goal needs to be relevant to what you're doing and how you're going to use it. And then it has to be time bound. Everything should be time bound and not just an open-ended goal. So by this point in time, it could be in June at the end of the year. It could be that by May, by the time your EOGs get here, you want to be at this point. So keep that in mind. Everything has to be tied up and time bound. The next question that always comes up is why? Why a SMART goal? Why focus on this? Well, what I like about a SMART goal is it focuses on deliverables, where you have something that you can prove that you mastered that goal or that you reached that goal, or maybe you didn't. And then at that point, we can figure out, well, where did we go wrong or what could we have done differently? So it's the aspect of deliverables that's important. And then we have best practice. This really is based on best practice. We talk about goals and objectives, and I think sometimes we take them for granted because, oh, we have to write these out. But a goal or an objective for us to accomplish is really important when we start a task because that's our target. We know where we're going with it, not an open-ended aspect of it where we're just kind of aimlessly wandering through this process. So this will really narrow in your focus so that whenever we go through other aspects of this course, there's a frame of reference that makes it personal to you, something you want to get out of this. So going through the process, I've put together a few things and found some resources as far as a template that will really help. I feel like, especially if this is the first time you've ever written a true SMART goal, it helps to have a template. So we're going to have these things built into the template so that you'll do each thing individually and then put it all together. So we're going to start with an initial goal. Write something that you believe you want to accomplish this year with the digital competencies. I would pick an area of growth, but this is really up to you. Somewhere that you think will be the most impactful to you and your students. From that, we're going to dive in and make it specific. So if you said, well, I'm going to utilize technology to do a project with my students, that's fine, but we have to dive in a little bit deeper whenever we go into this. Because with specific, we're talking about what do you want to accomplish. And that's where you dive into your initial goal and go a little bit deeper. And then who needs to be included? Are your students included? Are you included? Is anybody else? I mean, it could be a personal goal for you, or it could impact your students. When do you want to do this? This ties in slightly with the time-bound piece, but do you want to start it immediately? I mean, what is it that you need to get out of this, or how far do you need to get? And then why is this a goal? So why is this something to accomplish? You know, I like to say that if you don't really have a specific reason to dive into something, then it's not really a goal. You hope to do that, or you wish to do something, but it's not really something to accomplish. And then we have measurable. This one should be pretty simple. How can you measure progress and know if you've successfully met your goal? So reading the goal, what is it that I have that makes me show progress? How can I see that I've actually met that goal? Going to achievable. So do you have the skills required to achieve the goal? If the answer is no, which is fine, what are the resources you need? I mean, where can you find things to help you reach that goal? And then also, can you obtain them? So if you don't possess those, do you have a way to obtain those skills? Because if you're talking about, I mean, one thing that comes up a lot with technology are these different resources. Well, if you don't have the time to learn every single thing possible, maybe narrow it down and be very specific on what you want to focus on. And then what is the motivation for this goal? You know, what motivated you to pick that goal, other than, you know, you can say that, well, I had to pick this. Well, nobody's forcing you to pick a certain goal, but what made you want to do that? What made you want to focus on that for your students? And then this aspect is really important, because there are lots of things you can focus on, but is the amount of effort required on par with what the goal will achieve? So if you're talking about, well, I want to organize my email, or I want to organize my Google Drive, that may be a good goal, but how impactful is that for your students? Some people may argue, well, it's very impactful because I'll be able to find my stuff. But really, when we look at it and the digital competencies, organization really isn't anywhere in there. And then on top of that, I would say, as far as a direct impact, it probably doesn't play as big of an impact on it as you would doing your instruction with students. So think about that as well. Would the amount of effort put into doing this match what the goal will achieve? Going on to relevant. So why am I setting this goal now? You know, why now whenever we have so many things to focus on? How is this relevant to me? And this will be a personal question that you can answer. And then, is it aligned with overall objectives? Does this align with the things that I already have in place in the class? Is it something that is just going to be considered extremely extra that can't fit in with anything else that I'm doing? Because I would suggest to look at your PDP and really think about how things can all tie in together. Because this shouldn't be that much of an extra step to do, but you need to look at is it overall aligned with everything you've been doing. Our final piece is time bound, and this one's normally the easiest to understand, but I still want to go through what we mean by time bound. So you need a specific deadline. So what's the deadline, and is it realistic? And this is where it ties in with the other aspects of it. I mean, especially the attainable and achievable part. Is it something you can do in the given time? Do you think you have time to do it? And I would say that if you set this goal up to be something you really want to focus on, the time part won't be an issue. It's just, it may take you to the end of the school year. So keep that in mind, that this may be a year-long process. So going on with the next steps in our module, you'll want to review the lesson resources below. And there's only one lesson resource for this week, and it goes through the whole SMART goal planning process. It's pretty much what we talked about. It gives you another resource to look at to go through SMART goals. And then also you want to complete the assignment for this module. This module, you're completing the template for a SMART goal and submitting that template. That way everybody can be supported on that end, and hopefully it will facilitate that process and move it along a little bit faster. If you have any questions about the module, don't hesitate to contact your instructional technology specialist.